close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
eyes. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. We're dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. You search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars. We're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow. Reaching for stars. I wonder where you are. Oh.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. like I do right now. Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Can everyone hear me? Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Do.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use.
All right. Hello, everyone. We are back. Once again, let's do mic check. Mic check. Can everyone hear me? Does it sound okay? No reverberation like last time. Everyone good? Yeah. Yeah. Everyone good? You all hear me? Sounds good. Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Jazz Naz. Yes, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Um, Excellent. Okay, folks. So let me go through here. I want to see where people are from, as always. Let me take a look. We got Army. So if I pronounce that wrong, please let me know. Yeah, I could actually react to some Jubilee videos on here. Maybe I'll bring my dad in too. That'd be kind of fun, right? Um, Let me move this around. There we go. Getting everything fully set up. Okay. There we go. This way. All right. Excellent. Um, okay, what else do we got here? We have so excited. Hey, good to see you too, Wolfie. Very excited to listen. Thank you, Shut. What's the name of this song? I'm not sure. I do like the music. I'll have to look it up. Um, Where is everyone from? Okay, UK. Hello, my friends from the British Isles. Uh, I'm from India. Hello from India. Or hello from the United States to India, I should say. What are your thoughts on Modi? I am curious. You please put it in the chat if you feel comfortable doing so. Looking to see if America wants to be part of the Commonwealth again. Well, I know at this point might be beneficial. Anyway, uh, let's see here. California. Fantastic, Wolfie. Um, does anyone watch Dean Withers and Parker? I'm not sure who that is. They appeared on Jubilee, did they? I'll need to look into that. Everyone, 5 more minutes. That's me, okay? Although the Pier show was pretty bad. Okay. What else we got here? But what a coincidence. Uh, Alysse, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong here. Yes, that's actually the first thing we're going to be talking about. I have it set up. You can see back here on my screen. So we will be talking about the gerrymandering in Texas, or I should say the destruction of our democracy. Anyway, but we will get to that. It's a reciprocal tariff on voting. Okay, Missouri. Hey, gotta love Missouri, right? I've been. Um, the music is great. Thank you. Save us, another Ohioan. Well, yeah, I know, right? We multiply like rabbits. India again. Adam Mockler. He's an interesting character. Yeah. Morning, folks. All right. Germany. Really, we got someone from Germany. Ich spreche Deutsch, aber nicht sehr gut, I guess. Ein bisschen. Uh, I can read German better than I can speak it, though I can understand it pretty well. So, where are you from in Germany? I've been a few times now. I think what? Well, I've been 2 or 3 times, maybe twice. I think I've been twice. But it's a great, great place. Love Germany. Um, but if you guys want me to, I can tell you a story later. I did have a run in that, by the way, not reflective of Germans at all. This is extremely rare. I had a run in with a guy who was kind of had a let's put it this way, a nostalgia for certain parts of German history that you probably don't want to have a nostalgia for. I can tell you that story at some point. The level of uneducated okay, yeah, Army. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point. I'm glad to hear you say that. Uh, yeah, it's a very cool place to go. I was doing some research there, going around to some archives and stuff, and I also visited with my family. Really good food. I know Germany, other Europeans like the French and stuff will make fun of German food and stuff, but I disagree. I love German food. So uh, really great people. Okay, so very good. The first thing I want to talk about, because I'm all about the profit, right? Now, okay, not fully about the profit. I'm really just about surviving. Let's set a goal today, shall we? Let's see here for the super chats. Let's say 15 super chats. And my thought was that we could do, if we get 15 super chats, and it has to be $2 or higher. I'm just kind of winging this at this point. How about we do set a timer? Let's do an hour. That sounds good. And if we get the 15 super chats, I will answer some personal Q&As. Okay, obviously within reason. So I will. You can talk about me personally if you'd like. I know some people seem to be super interested in that. I'm not that interested, to be honest. Regardless, we can do a little bit of a Q&A about me if we get 15 super chats. So let's see if we can do that, if people are interested. And heck, I'll even put on the jester hat too. How about that? I'll throw in a little extra bonus of self-humiliation. Okay, host a Q&A session. Okay, host Q and A. All right, let's do it. Oop, we gotta go here. So sound folks. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, goal 15 super chats. Yeah, still learning all this. 10. Let's see, go here, teal and higher. Okay, so what we're going to talk about. Yeah, we'll do that. Q&A. Q and A. There we go. Start goal, and the goal has begun. Okay. Perfect. So let's go on. All right. So, hey, bruh moment. Welcome back. And Big Braden, I'm glad to see Veronica back again. I'm so glad to see all of you. We had a great time yesterday, didn't we? So, okay, let's begin. So, I wanted to talk about yesterday. We had a little talk. We kind of talked. I think it was actually big. Was it Big Braden? Maybe it was. We kind of had a brief little back and forth, not back and forth, but a little discussion about whether America is a democracy or not. And I think it's up for debate given certain aspects of America, which make it very unlikely that the American people actually kind of determine what happens in the government and in the country, especially money. Hey, thank you, Sir Bartholomew from California. Yes, I think that's what it is. 279. Thank you very much. Okay. First one. Um, okay. One of the things that makes it so, okay, what's a democracy? If you all watch my other video, a democracy is where the people of the country make the decisions. No, this is not an ad for Coke, though if Coke wants to send me a sponsorship, I'd gladly take an evil corporation's money. Okay, so um we all right, so we a democracy means literally rule by the people. So the people get to decide what happens. They make it up, they make for themselves. That, if you look at the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, it's all about the will of the people, the will of the people. But as I think I mentioned in my other video and I've talked about before, over time, there have been all these sort of barriers and things put in between the people and their power over what the government does and the actions we take collectively. One of those yes, I am. I am still working as a teacher at the moment. So I would love to do this full time. I love teaching, but I feel I can reach a larger audience doing this. Um, so yeah, and even if I make a little less money, I'm okay with that. But regardless, um, there are multiple barriers in between the people having their will done and you know what we got going on. So one of those is something called gerrymandering. Who here has heard of gerrymandering before? Give me a little shout out in the chat. I got to do this like I'm a teacher because I am. So what do we think? Anyone heard of gerrymandering? I know someone already mentioned it previously. um, Gerrymandering, uh, when you elect people, when there's an election for a member, Dr. Pepper supremacy. I love it. By the way, yeah, I got to admit though, Dr. Pepper is my favorite. Absolutely. I don't know why. I just love Dr. Pepper. but I like it full sugar, so I try to avoid it. Uh, so okay, gerrymandering. Yeah, I totally agree. Death died today. You're correct. I think campaign finance reform would help a ton with democratizing the United States. That is what I believe as well. We need some major reforms. Um, uh, Lay Lane, I remember you from yesterday, from Pennsylvania again. Hello, land of the Liberty Bell. So gerrymandering, right? When we elect people to Congress, right? There are certain uh, there are districts. Okay, so I'm going to show you a map here. Here we go. We got some. Here's a map because we're going to be talking about uh, Texas. I thought it might be wise to do this. Um, these are the Texas districts. So each of these districts, they're supposed to contain a similar amount of people, and they do. Okay. Um, and you can see each of these little colored regions is an area that contains roughly the same amount of people, and each of those districts elects a representative that is supposed to represent them in Congress and be the voice of the people that live there. Okay, that sounds nice and cute, doesn't it? Right? Kind of sounds like a good idea. Oh, I absolutely agree. Okay, I absolutely agree. We need to get rid of the corporate donors. I think we need a constitutional amendment to do that. It is destroying our democracy. Regardless, so in all these different, yeah, Utah extremely gerrymandered, Pennsylvania extremely gerrymandered. So gerrymandering. So okay, so that's how these congressional districts work. I know some at least two people in the chat who know about how bad it is here in Ohio too. I did for a moment, and we are going to talk about that because I'm actually very proud of Texas Democrats, and you all know from yesterday, I am not too. I'm not the biggest fan of how Democrats have acted recently, but I will say they did something very strong yesterday that I highly approve of. Okay, so these are how we do our congressional districts. Now, here's the issue. Who decides the shape of those districts? Well, it kind of varies from state to state, but generally there is a commission of politicians who get together and they draw these districts out. Now, here's an issue. Let's say you have a commission that's majority Democrats or majority Republicans. To be honest, I'm not trying to be biased here. The majority of these districts that are sort of drawn out are dominated by Republicans. So gerrymandering tends to benefit Republicans more than Democrats. That does not mean that Democrats don't do it also, but overall, it is typically more beneficial for Republicans. So what they do, um, yes, Wolfie, there absolutely is a chance that they will lose seats. As that's the whole plan, as a matter of fact. I believe it even says on this article right here at the top, the change could reduce the number of Democratic congressional representatives in North Texas from 3 to as few as 1 or 2. Okay, so and so what you do, uh, for a moment, agreed. We need nonpartisan districts drawn. So what these politicians will do, especially if they're of one political party and they control it, they will draw these districts to benefit themselves. So imagine you have a city. Now, cities are typically very blue, okay, very democratic. So you might make a district around that city. Well, what if you have a suburb of that city that is partially blue, partially red? uh, you might then draw the district so that it includes a chunk of a rural part around the suburb, which would likely add a bunch of red votes, which would make the district almost always go to the Republican, regardless of how many Democrats are in the district, because you've drawn the district in a way where it's almost impossible for the Democrats in that district to ever win an election. Okay. And this is a problem, all right? Because you can, by drawing these districts, you can disenfranchise people. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times the people that get disenfranchised by this, especially in the South, are black and brown people, poor people, and especially and Democrats. Okay. It's been going on for a long time and it gets worse and worse. And I can show you there's different, like, I'll show you a map of Ohio. It gets to the point where these districts look insane. They look like the scribblings of a 5-year-old. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Let's take a look. Um, yeah, congressional districts, Ohio. Let's see if we can get something that looks a little better image. Yeah, okay, here we go. I'm not sure if this is the most up-to-date one, but you can still see there's some of these very wonky districts here. Yeah, this is a good one. Okay, so here we go. Uh, Here you have, I will try to open it up so you guys can see it better. Here's Ohio. The all those lines, okay, the red areas of the state are ones that are tend to go red, okay? They're districts that tend to go red, and the blue ones are ones that tend to go blue. You can see that there are very small districts that are blue, and then the red ones are kind of these scribbles all over the place. They don't really follow any particular um, pattern, okay? Because they are written to disenfranchise certain people. They are done that way so that certain parties have an advantage, okay? Shaw versus Reno, you're absolutely correct. What would losing seats cause? Oh, what would losing seats cause? So, in theory, right? If there should be one person, one vote, and if a de- the majority of people in a district want a certain representative, they should get that representative. What this does is it prevents large numbers of people from getting the representative they want because they are included in districts where they have no chance of winning, and basically their vote becomes worthless. Yesterday, we actually talked about winner takes all. We live in a winner takes all system. You basically have to choose between two parties, both of which aren't great, to be honest with you, though obviously I would agree that one is worse than the other. But anyway, and that's the Republicans. Anyway, but the issue becomes that if you have to choose between uh, just two parties and the winner wins the seat, all those people that didn't vote for that person basically aren't included anymore. So it is a fact that there are statistically more Democrats in the country in terms of if you look at stats. But the proportion of Democrats in the country is nowhere near the number of Democratic representatives in Congress because Republicans have massively gerrymandered, which is what this is, states so that there are fewer Democratic representatives than there are people that would be voting for them. Okay, so it disenfranchises large parts of the population. All right. Um, yeah, I heard about that in Pennsylvania. They found it unconstitutional. If you want to hear another bad example here, I mean, that's a good example, but bad as in for what it does. In Ohio, the same thing happened. The Supreme Court found it, what the new maps they were trying to draw, unconstitutional. And guess what the Republicans did? They ignored it. They ignored what the Supreme Court said and they kept the maps and they kept delaying and delaying and delaying. And then they're like, oh, well, sorry, it's too close to the election. So we just have to keep the maps. And they've done that multiple times now. So that is problematic, as you can probably guess. All right. So why are we talking about this? Well, they yesterday in Texas, with the Donald Trump has been pushing for this, and he's gotten support from Texas Republicans. And the whole point here is that they're trying to redraw the Texas districts to, you can guess, benefit the Republicans and disenfranchise more Democrats. And this article here that I have pulled up, it says here, Jones, this is, by the way, as I always say, always be cautious when you're reading news articles. Understand the motivations behind the people writing the article, understand biases and things like that. That being said, so I don't want you to get the impression that just by me showing this to you, you should trust what I'm saying or what this is saying. Think for yourselves. As I said yesterday, that's the greatest form of resistance. Regardless, this article here, and I would say it's pretty reliable. You can determine that for yourself. It does say that the Texas Republicans are trying to fulfill Donald Trump's goal of flipping 5 Democratic held seats. And so they're trying to turn 5 Democratic seats into Republican ones, which would massively disenfranchise the Democrats in those districts. And you have to understand here, this is a sort of a Hail Mary pass play, right? The number of Democrats in Texas has been growing, and Texas Republicans have been desperate to sort of suppress that trend because they don't want to lose control of the state. Um, uh, how would the Democratic legislators saying they'll do the same affect the number? Aha, you're right. Okay. I am not sure. I know Gavin Newsom, and by the way, I am proud of him for this because this is a strong thing to do. I'm not a terrible fan of Gavin Newsom, but I really appreciate that he did this. There are some Democratic states, like Gavin Newsom, who are saying, okay, if you're going to do it in Texas, we're going to do it here. And I do not know. I would have to look that up. I am not sure how many seats it would add in um, California. Okay. So they are trying to flip some more of these seats. And so, if approved, the redrawn map would give the GOP a path to win up to 30 of the state's 38 congressional seats. I know I paused because that's actually shocking. I actually hadn't read that number yet. So, Republicans would be elected in 30 out of 38 of the districts in Texas. And you can imagine there are far more Democrats than that percentage would, okay, allow. Um, and this is a problem, okay? And the Republicans have been pushing for this. I want to point out something too. There was, and this was years ago. I don't quote me on when it was. I think it may have been 20 or so years ago. It may have been less than that. There was a sort of an ideological movement amongst Republicans, and the basic idea here was that we can't really um, the more people that are allowed to vote, the less likely we are to win. And which makes sense because, like I said, there's more Democrats than Republicans. So they actually devised and over time started implementing these plans to, instead of thinking, oh, if we're losing, maybe we should change our policies and try to appeal to people and get more people to vote for us in a democratic way. They went with the way of, well, because we have trouble winning democratically, maybe we should limit democracy. And gerrymandering is one of the ways they have tried to do this. Or they also would add different requirements for voting, like voter ID. Now we can debate that. There are some points that Republicans have on that, but I'm not. I don't really care because that's not the point of what they're trying to do, right? Um, so this is another example. Okay, now what would you do if you're the Democrats? Okay, um, what would you do if you're the Democrats and you are in the state of Texas and you're in the state legislature and there are many more Republicans in the legislature than there are Democrats, and you find out that the Republicans are trying to do this map. Uh, a good thing to do would be to resist, right? Resist as much as possible. You may not be able to vote it down or whatever the case may be, but you can do something. And I am very proud to say, despite my previous statements, that is what the Democrats are doing. They are doing some resistance here. They actually left the state of Texas. Now, when you vote on these things, you need something called a quorum, which means you need a certain number of politicians or Congress people or representatives, or I should say, state legislatives, in actually present to do the vote. So if you leave the state, you can't even have the vote. So what we see is that a bunch of the Democrats have literally just left the state and essentially gone into hiding so that they cannot vote on these maps. And I say, bravo. Okay. It probably won't last forever. It probably can't last forever, but at least it's something. Um, at least it's something. Uh, So I'm gonna let me look at some of these chats here. Da, 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 da. Mizzou. Okay, great. Um, feel about ground news as an option. Uh, shut. That's a good question. Ground news. So I actually tried it briefly. I do like it a lot. I'm not a so it is very helpful. You can see biases and things, but it doesn't really. It's almost it's hard to explain. I don't want to go after them too much. I think it's an okay source. Yes. Um, yeah. I'm me too. Uh, Alyssa. Yes. I'm glad he's standing up to Trump. Uh, bruh moment. I recently read about someone wanting the Dems to do the same as Republicans. Do you think the Dems actually have here? Okay, so I got to be honest with you, bruh moment. No, I would not originally. I would have been wrong if I would have originally. I would have said the Democrats won't do that. They're spineless, blah 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 blah. And honestly, in most cases, I still think they probably are going to be spineless. But the fact that Newsom might do it, he might be putting on a show. That's very possible. Okay, don't get me wrong. Remember what I've said. Actions speak louder than words. A politician can say anything, but the fact that he's even gesturing at it is something. And so let's hope. I hope he does, because folks, I am not about unilateral disarmament. All right, if the other side is doing something uh, that is manipulative and benefits them, you can't just step back and go, oh, well, we're not going to do that because we are, when they go low, we go high, or whatever you may say. Okay. That is not how politics works. You cannot unilaterally disarm. All right. If you unilaterally disarm, you will lose. And that is something that has frustrated me with Democrats for a while. So I think it's good if Democrats do not unilaterally disarm and they actually resist, okay, and do things that will, if the Republicans want to play that game, no problem. We will fight for our side too, okay? Uh, but that's why reforms are necessary, because you need to actually change these things so no one can do it, okay? But while the reforms aren't there, what else are you going to do? Okay, just let them walk all over you. Um, all right. See what else we got here. Okay, I recently read about someone wanting the Dems to do so. Okay, it pains me how much parties don't realize their policies are what's causing their unpopularity. Yeah, no, I know, I know. There's a lot of studies on this and such. Yeah, what do you think the policies are causing? Have to change the rules and make yeah, no, you're right. There is a lot of studies that have been done on how there's sort of a bubble in Washington. Okay, once you get there, Democrats and Republicans, they're in this little bubble. They're around people that aren't average Americans. Okay, there's lots of other factors here. Okay, but it drives me crazy when the Democrats do this and the Republicans do this. They will blame the electorate. Democrats will be like, well, the reason people voted for Trump, and I'm talking about politicians, not average Democrats, will be like, oh, they voted for Trump because, you know, uh, they're racist, and that's not to say that some of them aren't racist. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. Or because they're ignorant, or blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that might be true too. But the issue here is why you have to have some empathy, right? What would cause someone to vote for Trump? They might be disenchanted, they might feel alienated, right? Because Donald Trump is presenting an image of uh, it's not true, but changing the country, uh, getting rid of the swamp, as he says it. Okay, so Democrats need to look at themselves and realize how their message is not something people are voting for versus how Trump's message is. You see what I mean? Okay, they need to craft a message that inspires people to vote for them. I got to be honest with you. Okay, it can't just be Trump bad all the time. He is bad, but you need a positive reason to vote for a party. You need a hopeful reason. Okay. Um, let's see here. Thank you for your Trump. Yeah, you're right, Wolfie. Thank you for saying think for yourselves. Literally, Trump tells you not to think for yourself. Don't believe your eyes and ears. Okay. Yesterday, folks, I talked about 1984. And I think the exact quote from 1984 is something like it was the final and most important command of the party. Um, don't believe your eyes and ears. Let me look up this quote. I think you all will very much appreciate it. Uh, Orwell, final command of the party. And this is very much true. Yes, the party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. We all can see, right? We have the internet, right? We have all these videos, all this footage. We know what's going on. Okay, we can see it. And a lot of these politicians don't understand that yet. They're living in an old mode of thinking. So a lot of times they will tell you, oh, we know you see it and you're experiencing it, but you're wrong. Okay. And it drives me insane. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Could be all talk, but hopefully not. We will see. Uh, okay, bruh moment. With how the Democratic Party has been acting during this administration, I still have doubts about them backing. Hey, you know what, bruh moment? I agree, right? I am not going to. I am not about words. So if I see the actions, that'll be great. It does give me hope that there are some words going on here, but let's hope. Okay, let's hope that we do see more than just words. Okay, so what do we got here? We got two super chats. Great, fantastic. For those who are new to the stream, we if we get 15 super chats, we'll do a personal Q&A with questions about me, obviously within reason, nothing inappropriate, right? But regardless, we can do that. Okay. So just putting that out there. Okay. So any other things you want to talk about in regards to the gerrymandering? Any other last comments before we move on to our next little segment here? Big Braden reminds me of the Joe Biden being like, Israel is doing everything it can to save civilians. Sorry, I couldn't help but laugh at that. Meanwhile, hundreds of videos showing yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, in my lifetime, I have not seen such a, I guess, pro-Palestine uh, blowback. Okay, and I think it's largely because of the internet. Right, people can actually see what is happening. And so that has inspired a lot of people to speak up about it, and it's a lot of people to change their positions on it because of the internet. You can't hide it. It's there for everyone to see. Okay. Um, Big Braden working around the clock for a ceasefire. Don't worry. Alan, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, right? Yeah, working real hard on it. But it's Moss, that keeps ruining it, guys. Anyway, um, why is breaking quorum a big deal? So the idea here is, there's different theoretical things here. The idea is you want all the people's representatives or a majority of them there because that otherwise you're not really getting the people's opinion. Um, so that's that. And so it's written into a lot of state constitutions and a lot of rules of different like legislatures that you have to have a quorum present. Now, in Congress, by the way, and this has happened before in our Congress during my lifetime, it's happened. If legislators don't come, okay, and there isn't a quorum, they can the Speaker of the House can actually send uh, basically congressional security officers to go arrest them and force them to come back. There's images, there's some images, you can find them of senators or Congress people being literally dragged, carried back into the congressional, into the Congress chamber. Now, each state sort of has different rules on this. It's possible that might happen too in Texas, but I don't think it will. I'm not sure what the rules are there. Um, yeah. Yeah, well, again, Texas's rule specifically, I think it would be hard for him to make them felons. That might be more posturing, but don't quote me on that. I am not an expert in specifically Texas's constitution and things like that. It would be very unusual to me. Yeah, bro, Momo, you're right. It's very like the Vietnam War. Um, who here was anyone here? I am curious, folks. Was anyone here? Oh, Swap. Sorry, Swap. Just you wait. Okay, I will gladly give you my thoughts on Epstein and Trump. Okay, and that lunacy, that if pro-crime nonsense. Yeah. So, okay, Vietnam War. Yeah. Is anyone here? Was anyone here alive during the Vietnam War? I'd like to see it in chat. And I know most of my audience, I think, are in their 20s and 30s. There's some Gen Z folks, some millennials. Um, I'd like to see a comment there, but I'll wait for that. So let me know if you were alive during the Vietnam War. But during the Vietnam War, something happened. Um, Yeah. Oh, hey, you're totally right, Alyssa. That is, that's the issue here, right? Is I think I talked about yesterday on the stream how our language, the English language, is being degraded because can never, you never knew, you can never really know what words mean anymore. um, yeah. So, okay, you're not a conspiracy theorist either. There are certain things where if there's smoke, there's fire, and I am not a conspiracy theorist. I love evidence. I think I told people yesterday I was getting my PhD in history. I love evidence. I need evidence, so I don't buy most conspiracy theories, but the evidence for the Epstein stuff is tremendous, as Trump would say. The Vietnam War. So during the Vietnam War, there was something called the credibility gap. What the government was telling the country, uh, what completely differed from what people were actually seeing happen on the ground and the videos that people were seeing and things like that. Okay. So that it created something called a credibility gap where people started realizing, hey, the government is lying. And in America, that had not really been as something that most people thought about. And I know in our day and age, it's hard to think about that, but hard to even imagine a scenario like that where people are very trustworthy of the government. But during the 50s and such, people were pretty obedient to the government. They didn't really question it much. There were limited news sources, so people got news from a very few number of sources. And so there wasn't much debate about a lot of different things. There was some debate, but not as much as today. And then after the Vietnam War, after people noticed that credibility gap, they started really mistrusting the government. All right. And they started questioning it more. The Vietnam War was an extremely important event in our history. Um, I highly recommend if someone can maybe put the name of it in chat. I know there's at least one person in this chat that has seen it. There's a great documentary about the Vietnam War. I believe it's on Netflix. Really good documentary, and very also entertaining. I mean, it's dark, but very entertaining because you shocking. So I highly recommend it. Bro moment, congratulations. All right, so the Epstein stuff. Let's talk about that. Uh, I'm planning to after the Epstein stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about political corruption, but I do want to talk about the Epstein stuff. That is a very good point. Okay, so the Epstein stuff. What's going on with the Epstein stuff? Well, first of all, Ghislaine Maxwell was put into a minimum security prison in Texas, even though she's the largest in American history. She's the worst child sex trafficker in American history. So that's kind of disgusting, right? That she was moved into a low security prison. Now, I may be a bit cynical here. All right. Um, when I see something like that happen, my question is, what did what did the government get from her that they let her go to a minimum security prison? Think about it. It would actually be very unpopular to move her to a minimum security prison, right? It doesn't really make sense politically. That means that the people at the top, the Trump administration, must have made some sort of calculation where they said, yeah, we can move her to this minimum security prison because at least we're getting this out of it. What are they getting out of it? Yeah, you're right, bro moment. What does he mean when he says I could pardon her, right? Why would you say that? It's sort of it doesn't make, and well, admittedly, a lot of things in the Trump administration don't make sense, but it's just kind of odd to me. Um, so like, what did they get from her? Now, we could speculate. Again, I am evidence-based, so I suspect there is something they got from her. Maybe a promised to not, yes, to not mention certain people that might be in those files. And by the way, this is just factual. So I know someone earlier mentioned I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but folks, there are reportedly multiple sources, tens of thousands of hours of video of these crimes taking place against children and young women. Okay. Um, who is in those videos? Right? How many people have actually gotten arrested for this? I can tell you two people, Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein himself. Now, Epstein died, but where are the rest of them? There should be, there were thousands of victims, tens of thousands of hours of video. On a side note, okay, now before I say this, I want to add something, okay? Do not trust anything that the government of Russia says. They lie. Shocking, right? They lie. Lots of governments lie. Russia is one of those governments that loves to lie a lot. Okay. Um, Yesterday, Russia made a comment. You know what? Let me look it up for you. And again, I don't want you to think you should trust this, but I thought it was super interesting. It either shows that they're very clever, it's a very clever lie, or well, let's talk about it. Okay, Russia says that's what it is. Okay. Um, Let me see if I can find a bunch of videos here. Let me go to So basically, Russia says, oh no, Medvedev. Okay, it was the president. Medvedev. Oh, geez, I don't speak Russian. Epstein. Okay, so let's see here. Uh, okay, so this is what the former president of Russia said yesterday. Now, again, do not no, Gaming Dojo, you're not the only non-American here. We got a Canadian here. Okay, we had an Indian in here earlier. We yesterday we had people from the UK. We got people from all over the place. So do not worry. Here we got. So I want now again. I want to point out: do not trust what the Russian government says. Do not take this uh, literally. Okay, because we don't know. But it is interesting. They said Medvedev said that he said this. So he posted this yesterday. If you think this was the former president of Russia, if you think that Mossad alone has a video archive of his past depravities, no, that's not true. Okay. Um, so now here's the thing. We don't know. Maybe Russia does have something. I will say Russia has something, has a practice that it's called maskirovka. For the Europeans in chat, you might be well aware of this, okay? Or not maskirovka. I'm sorry, kompromat. Okay, what they will do, their intelligence services will collect compromising information on people and then use it to blackmail them. And it would not be totally correct. Yes, Wolfie, that's the name of the documentary, Turning Point, the Vietnam War. I highly recommend it. Great documentary. Be prepared for some emotional distress, but hey, in terms of historicity and accuracy, it's mind-blowingly good. Highly recommend it, especially the part on the My Lai massacre. Fantastic. So it is possible that Russia got some of those videos. Don't trust it, but it was I just thought it was interesting when I saw that yesterday. But don't trust Russia. Okay. So the Epstein stuff going on. Uh, we it's all very strange, right? I mean, obviously, okay. Now, uh, all right. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, right? It's very strange. It's obvious there's something going on. They had the files. There are no files. We have the files, but we can't release them. All right. What is it? I mean, I'm guessing Trump is in those files, 100%. But My main thing here, folks, is do we think that if those files come out, will it change MAGA's mind about Trump? And I think that's the big question. And I think I would be a fool if I thought that it really would change their mind. But maybe, maybe. I mean, low chance. But it is pretty bad. Now, let me show you all a video actually. So you know how much I love court jesters. I'm going to show you a video. This gentleman right here um, is actually a Republican. Okay. I am going to play for you a portion of this comedy clip, though. What is his name? What is his name? Oh, what is his name? Okay. He did a, let's see here. Let's go to YouTube. YouTube. Now, he does this bit, all right? And the reason I'm showing it to you, first of all, I think I think it's very funny, but it's also telling about how MAGA thinks about it. And honestly, I don't really blame them, okay? How some people in MAGA think about it. Epstein, comedian. Again, I'm telling you, the FBI is going to be looking into me with all the searches about fascism and Epstein and such. Okay, Epstein, comedian. What is his name? What is his name? What is his name? Right. That's be in here somewhere. So I'll get it to it, folks. You know what? Maybe I can't find it right now. Maybe it's no longer. You know what? I'll find it and I'll have you guys a different time here. Okay. Regardless, it's very interesting how MAGA views all this. Okay, and it is a hope of mine that yeah, that it'll make them more make them not like him, but maybe not. All right, folks. So, for anyone who is new, actually, I'm not even sure. Have we gotten new people? Like I said, don't forget we have a super chat. If we get to 15 super chats, we will be able to do a Q&A where you ask me some personal questions. Seems to be in demand. Let me go here real fast. Da-da-da-da. Okay. Just taking a check here to see. We got a few viewers. Excellent. Okay. Give me a second here. Still learning all this nonsense here. Gosh, I wish my students were around. They're so much better at tech than I am. Okay. Why don't I go here and I move it here? Oh, there we go. Okay. Whew. Yeah. Oh, don't worry. We will do more of the educational stuff. Okay. And because I would love to do that. So, what I want to talk about now, folks, is a little bit about political corruption. And I have done this before with my students, and sometimes I get pushback. I understand why, but it is reality. Okay. Mentioned yesterday how in American politics, money really speaks volumes. If you raise the most money for your campaign, there's an 80 to 90% chance of you winning. And since basically wealthy and such can spend unlimited amounts of money in the campaigns in various ways, they have a massive influence on the outcome of campaigns. So when you are deciding who to vote for, okay, or you're looking at two politicians, one of the best ways to do this is not to look at what they say, okay? Don't look at what they say, or you could, but don't take it too seriously. One, look at their actions. And two, go to this website. All right. No, this isn't an ad. I highly recommend people save this website. It is very important. It's called Open Secrets. It is an award-winning website because it has won awards for journalism and stuff. And when you get donations to your political campaign, if those donations are directly to your campaign, you are required to report those donations. So now then, there's a problem because there are something called super PACs. It gets complicated, which can also donate to campaigns. And then other people can donate to those. And those super PACs don't have to report to where the money they're giving the campaign came from. But they have to report that they've given the money to the politician. They just don't have to say who it came from. Regardless, though, that money that is given to a politician, um, that money that is given to a politician directly, they have to report it, and Open Secrets compiles who has donated to various political those numbers that these politicians report. Okay, so you know what? This thing is just getting all over the place. I'll just move it around to here, maybe. Oh, I see it is falling off. Let's fix that. So I highly recommend you all save this site for the next election in your area. You can see who is spending money on the politicians. Okay. All right. So let's take a look here. Here's Open Secrets. Let's take a look at some well-known politicians, shall we? Who do you think we should do first? First name I see. Well, within reason, right? Who do we think we should look at first? Who should we look at first? Does anyone have a recommendation? I have a guess. I know who we all want to look at first, right? Okay. Pelosi, good call. Okay, let's look at Pelosi. I thought people would want to do Trump, but gladly, let's look at Pelosi. Uh, Nancy Pelosi. Now, again, this is what we're doing here is nonpartisan. What I mean is both Democrats and Republicans should be deeply concerned about this. Okay. Bitte schön. All right. So Nancy Pelosi, let's take a look. So what it'll do is you can pull up, did I spell that right? Okay. Campaign finance summaries. So here we go. Nancy Pelosi. What was this? This was the 2024 election cycle. So her campaign raised $10 million. Okay. And what do you spend that on? You spend that on ads. You spend that on outreach. You spend it on people who work in your campaign. Okay. And so in her last election, she won. She got a lot. Okay. You can then go down. It'll tell you who the top contributors to her campaign were. You know what? I'm going to actually let's do a little bit of a zoom here so we can see this better. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Okay. She got a lot from University of California, City and County of San Francisco. Let's actually open it up so we can see closer. American Federation of Teachers, the Aerospace Union, AFLAC, okay, which is a company, American Crystal Sugar, American Dental Association, another union, and Citizens United, the National Association of Realtors, U.S. Postal Service, Stanford University. Okay, so you can see some of the people that were donating to her. Now, if I go down here to top industries, the biggest industries that donated to her were retired industries, so like retirement industries, health professionals, which could include like healthcare companies. By the way, healthcare companies are some of the oh, I totally agree, Alyssa. Yeah, as a matter of fact, the reason we keep voting in people that are up in their years, and I don't want to say that just because you're old means you can't do the job, but the reason that there are so many elderly people in Congress is because it's an investment. When a company or a rich person or anyone donates money to a politician, they expect a return on investment. So you will continue to support politicians that have given you a return on investment in the past. So let's say I'm a healthcare company and I spend $1 million on Nancy Pelosi or whatever it may be, and she goes into Congress and she refuses to pass Medicare for all, and she refuses to reform any of the healthcare industry, which is what I want her to do. The next election, I will probably give her another $1 million. So a lot of the people in Congress are there and they're old because they have been supported over and over again by the same donors who know that they're going to get a return on investment. And so they keep funding them and they keep winning over and over and over again. And it becomes very hard. It becomes very hard for new people to run for those seats because those same donors will not give money to those people challenging incumbents because even if they might do what those donors want. Yeah, I totally agree. Okay. Even if they might do what those corporate donors want, it's still more reliable to give it to the person that has done what the donors want over and over and over again. Okay. Yeah, we need to get rid of corporate donations. It's a big issue. Um, Source of funding. So you can see down here, you can see who donated to her campaign. Now, this is a very important part. It may not seem like too bad when you look at some of the top groups that contributed, but let's take a look here. So, um, you can see that surprisingly, and I'm actually am kind of surprised about this. Maybe that's my bias. She did get more money from, I guess, individual donors. So that means people giving her $200 or less than she did from large donors. But about 42% of her money came from large contributions. So basically, wealthy folks who are donating to her. Okay. Um, and by the way, this is kind of distorted because wealthy in this case means $200 or more. So we can imagine that a lot of that is also from wealthier people. Okay, so let's see here. Industries. I just wanted to go over here uh, to industries, retired, education, TV, movies, music, business services, printing and publishing, securities and investment. You're going to see that almost all these politicians get big donations from the healthcare industry, the drug industry, real estate, and Wall Street. Okay. Wall Street, which is securities and investment, it donates to both sides. So does healthcare. Because why? Why would you want to donate to both sides? I want someone to answer this. I'm not going to let it go. In the meantime, if you'd like to, please send a super chat. I would love to see more super chats. But in the meantime, why would you want to donate to both sides of an election? Does anyone want to take a guess? Yeah, to have control. It doesn't matter who wins, you're still going to get what you want out of it. So a lot of times these companies will donate to both sides. Uh, yeah, you're hedging your bets, okay? So you will see that in almost all these people we look at, they got donations from the insurance companies. They got donations from what we also see here, health professionals, securities and investment, business services, things like that. Now, uh, let's take a look at someone else. I think the second name I saw was Trump. We will go for Trump. And then I saw someone else say Kamala. We can do that too. On a side note, here we go, Trump. All right, Trump. Now, you all are not going to be too surprised by this. And um, let me tell you, folks, I want you to think about the things he has done in office. Yeah, you're right, Lay Lane. That is exactly why we can't have nice things, because these things, companies don't want universal health care. Okay. Um, you know what? Before we go to Trump, let me read some of the comments here. I just realized I've been missing a lot. Trump came, oh yeah, Joe Manchin. Don't even get me started on Joe Manchin. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. He actually he has his own coal company essentially. I I won't get into that massively corrupt man. Uh, let's see here. I should say, which is why there's massive positive changes no matter who has it. But yeah, you're right, Alan. That's why there's never nothing ever changes, even if it's Democrats or Republicans. Now there are changes around the edges. I like to phrase this as tossing the dog a bone, right? Oh, the poor peasants are getting rowdy. Let's toss them a bone, make them feel a little better, but not actually solve the problem. Okay. Oh, look, there's a trans person. That's another thing they'll do. Okay. They will do distraction politics. Let's not talk about what is actually affecting us economically. Okay. Do you know how many trans people are in this country? Very few. And yeah, their rights absolutely matter, but it is interesting the amount of vitriol that goes into such a small group of people because it is hyped up. and it's very much a distraction. Um, and it's called Culture Wars. And it was actually a purposeful program that the Republicans implemented back in the 70s or 80s. They implemented a program of talking about social issues and abortion and things like that because they viewed it as their economic policies are so unpopular, they really shouldn't talk about those. They should only focus on social issues, get people riled up about those. Okay. Um, so it is a big problem. And Do Democrats in general get more individual donations? Yes. Individual donations, like small dollar donations, yes. Now, I will say they do not get, it depends. Sometimes they get more in corporate donations too. I'm going to give you an example. Kamala Harris. She actually raised more money than Donald Trump. And she got a lot of money from big corporate entities and things like that. And she still lost because, like I said, it's about 80 to 90% of the time, if you raise the most money, you win. So that is one almost another strike against her. Even though she raised so much money, she still didn't even win because she was not presenting a vision that people were into. And this is where I have some issues with the Democratic Party. They need a better vision. They need to present a much better vision. They're not inspiring anyone. Well, anything you could say about Trump, he's definitely inspiring people, not in a good way. Okay. Um, all right. Yeah. And by the way, I will say I don't mean to bash. I don't mean to bash. What am I trying to say here? Not trying to bash here. So there are some Democrats, and there's I think only one Republican I know of that does this, but there are a few Democrats that don't accept big donations. They only accept small donations. And this is not me saying really need to stop touching this mic. So this is not me saying that anyone here needs to support these people, but it is interesting. I don't want to generalize. There are a few Democratic politicians who do not accept corporate donations. One of them is Bernie Sanders. And I want to point out that when Bernie, and I don't want people to be thinking, oh, he must be a Bernie bro. I'm just stating the reality of it. Okay. He did not accept any corporate donations, and he still was extremely popular. As a matter of fact, if you look at statistics, uh, he's the most popular politician in the country by far. He almost beat Joe Biden when it came to the uh, um, was it Joe Biden? Am I getting this right? Uh, Not Joe Biden. He almost beat Hillary Clinton when they were both running during the primaries because people really like what he has to say. Okay. Um, so, uh, yeah, just be aware of that, right? I mean, he didn't make as much money at all as, for example, Hillary Clinton did, but he was still very close to winning. So imagine if we took money out of politics, the people who are actually very, very, very uh, so the people that are very popular will be the ones that win, not the people with the most money. Okay. Um, yeah, Godspeed Bernie. I agree. There are a few other politicians in Congress that don't accept corporate donations. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does not. Jamal Bowman, though, he actually recently lost his election because of some. I have to remember what happened, but some big donors got in on the opposition side against him. And so there's others too. Most of them would be classified as progressives. And there is one Republican who, weirdly enough, does not accept big corporate donations. And Cori Bush. There you go. Cori Bush is another example. That's right. It was APAC. It was APAC that spent that money. And the on the other side, there is weirdly enough, and please do not kill me when I say this. Okay, Matt Gaetz. Yeah, I know. I'm gagging a bit too when I say it. In the last election, he Matt Gaetz did not accept big corporate donations. He only accepted small donations. He did still accept some super PAC things, but weirdly enough, Matt Gaetz too did not uh, support that. Did not do that. One of the few Republicans. Okay. But that being said, I'm not. I'm not saying I support Matt Gaetz. Very far from it. Very far government. Far from it. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think he should be in jail too. I think a lot of folks should be in jail, but alas, yeah. Okay. So let's go back here. So Donald Trump here. Let's go and look to see who donated to his campaign. The majority of the donations to his campaign, can we see? Large contributions. Large contributions. Most of the donations to his campaign were wealthy people. Now, let's go down and see who actually saved, who like what industries and stuff donated to him. You're not going to be surprised. Republican conservative, yeah, okay, obviously. Air transport, Wall Street. Wall Street. So you know those big tax cuts that he just pushed through that will increase our debt, that $1 trillion. Yeah, yeah, actually, let's say, oh yeah, someone asked who Matt Gaetz is. Yeah, don't hurt yourself. You know, I will put his name in the chat, how to spell it, so you can look him up. And I might actually spell it wrong because everything is weird about him, even his name. Okay, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz. So yeah, you're right. Okay, so the muskrat, yeah. So you can see here, he some of the biggest donors to him. He got over $200 million from Wall Street. He got tons of money from the oil and gas industry. Uh, okay. Um, and he also what else? Tobacco. Okay. Yes, you always know you're a moral person if you're getting massive donations from the tobacco industry, right? Very moral, must be supporting very good things. Okay. You know, and I don't know how you go in support of cancer. Anyway, so health professionals, waste management, electronics manufacturing, pharmaceuticals and health products, automotive. Okay, you get it. Okay. Some of his biggest donors are like airline companies, and he is doing that in office, right? He is deregulating these industries. He is deregulating Wall Street. He's cutting taxes for the wealthy to the point where it's massively increasing our deficit. Okay, like $1 trillion in tax cuts for the wealthiest Americans. Absolutely insane. Okay, or the oil and gas industry. He removed the what are they called? The subsidies for electric vehicles. Who do you think that benefits, right? Now, I will say someone else also donated a lot of money to Trump's campaign. Speaking of electric vehicles. And let's see if I can find his name listed on here. Then his name, as you all probably know, was Elon Musk. Yeah, muskrat. Exactly. Okay. He donated, I believe, over $200 million to Trump's campaign, which, as I said before, is sort of a drop in the bucket for him. That's not much of anything, but boy, does that have an influence on an election. And he did it. Okay. And so you can see he got something out of that, right? Because let's see, contributors. Here you can see some of the people that actually contributed to him. Uh, I also love how dystopian a lot of the names of these groups that donated him are. An individual investor, just a single person, donated $150 million to him. The Adelson Clinic, Miriam Adelson, they run a bunch of gambling and casino things. They're also known as being pretty pro-Israel in a lot of ways. They're securing American greatness. Well, I don't know what that is, but it sounds terrifying. Building America's future. Bigelow Aerospace, Uline Company, Energy Transfer. We can see ABC Supply, Cantor Fitzgerald, Pratt Industries, and British American Tobacco. So again, a lot of big donors there, and Elon Musk on top of all of that. Okay. Lastly, let's do Kamala here. Again, please, I'm saying this. I try to tell my students this. I hope it gets through to them. When it comes to elections, follow the money, right? That's a really big, important thing to do. Kamala Harris. All right. take a look. Summary data for Kamala Harris. Fundraising, future forward. Okay, source of funds. Also, the majority of her contributions were from the wealthy. She did get a bit more small individual contributions, I believe, but maybe I'm getting that wrong. I have to go back to Trump. But regardless, she got mainly large contributions. We got a bunch of here. It's interesting is that the Lincoln Project donated to her. You know, they donated 23 million, and they're a Republican PAC because they really don't like Donald Trump. We got a bunch of other donors here. Let's take a look at industries. Let's say which ones she got the most donations from. Okay. Oh, who would have thought? Remember how I said Wall Street donates to everyone because so they always get their way. Look at the third largest donator to her. Securities and investments. There's Wall Street right there in the top three. They gave her almost $100 million. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Elisa. They definitely had some great ads. There was one really good one where maybe I'll show it to everyone next time. But electronics manufacturing and equipment, trade unions, which is fine. We got a lot of trade unions donating too. But I will say this: here's the issue with the trade union thing, right? So the trade unions. Building trade unions. I'm sure there were other unions too, perhaps, that donated to her. But they gave about $25 million. Compare that to how much Wall Street gave. They gave her around $25 million. Wall Street gave her almost $100 million. So let's say she has to make a decision between, hey, should I support the unions in this cycle? Let's say there's a labor dispute. Should I support the unions or should I support the owners of those companies, those Wall Street owners? She's going to be hard pressed to support the unions, right? Because the majority of her donations, or many more of her donations, come from securities and investment. And so you can see how this is an issue, right? Okay. All right. So I think we got that done. All right. So once again, folks, we still have super chats here. I think we got 2 so far. That's great. Better than nothing, I like to say. If you would like to do a Q&A here or have me, I'll also put on my jester hat. We can get some more super chats going. If not the end of the world. We are all living, I'm sure a lot of us are living in deep economic uncertainty. I would bet, unless you're from like, I don't know, Germany or something where you might be doing a bit better than we are right now. You know, I've got to be honest with you because we're kind of messed up over here at the moment. Not that Germany is perfect, but, you know, not doing great. Okay. So, it is not pocketed. So that's a good question, Pi KY. So that money that goes into it comes into their campaigns is then spent in their campaigns. Some of it then is held over. If they don't spend it all, they take that money and they hold it over for the next election, or they will give it to some party apparatus to spend. But they do not get to pocket it personally. Now, if you watch my yeah, sorry, I got distracted here by a great chat. Alyssa, the scariest part of my week is in the grocery store. I get it. Okay. The scariest part of my week is going in to teach because I don't know if who might come in that school with an intent to hurt me. So welcome to America. Okay. So yeah. So they will, if they don't spend it all, they'll put it into the next campaign or they'll give it to another Democratic organization to spend. Okay. Now, even though the politicians themselves don't use that money on themselves, that would be illegal. Okay, though there's some ways they can get around it. I mentioned in my other video something called the revolving door, right? First of all, they will get jobs after they leave office that are often high paying and will come from those organizations that they did things for while they were in Congress. Okay, it's called the revolving door. There's a lot of overlap between Congress people and high-paying lobbying jobs in the companies that they're working for. Another issue here too is there is no. This is really disturbing. Okay, not really disturbing. It is disturbing. While you're in Congress, you can still play around on the stock market. Not only that, you have insider knowledge about what companies are going to do well because you're in a powerful position. Okay. You know which company stocks are probably going to go up and go down. You can actually create legislation that hurts or benefits a company and then invest knowing what you're going to do to it before anyone else does. I will say, going back to Nancy Pelosi, she may be one of the most prolific of the people that do this. She has made millions off the stock market. She was once famously asked in an interview, well, don't you think we should ban Congress people from trading on the stock market? And she goes, oh, no, 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 no. It's the free market. It's the free market. Everyone should be able to do it. Not really free if you have access to information about the stock market that no one else does. And there are actually websites you can go to where they will show you what stocks politicians are investing in so that you can do the same because obviously politicians have some insider knowledge you don't, and they tend to do very, very well with those stocks. Okay. So that's another way that it's corruption. You can still make tons of money off being in office. Then, of course, there's the actual corruption that is illegal. There's the legalized corruption, which I've been talking about, and then there's the illegal corruption. You will hear many stories of politicians. Mayor Eric Adams from New York City was accepting bribes from Turkey, of all places, to build an embassy for them. He got caught. There was that one, oh, what was his name? The another Democratic guy. He, they actually raided his house and they found a bunch of gold bars in his floorboards because he had been accepting bribes from, I think may have been Egypt. Egypt. He was accepting bribes from Egypt. Okay, so there is illegal corruption too, but I think it's bad. Okay, there's stuff that goes on too. God knows what we don't know when it comes to the illegal corruption. So just be aware. Okay. Okay. So, whew, we've talked about a lot today, haven't we? All right. I mean, we actually haven't gone as long as I did yesterday, but I'm going to read through some of these, and we're actually going to end a bit early today. I believe I have some lunch plans with my sister, so we're going to finish off a little early today. That being said, I would like to go through. Let me go through the rest of the chat here. Let's see what we got. And go back to the chat. All right. Yeah, I would think it is considered voter buying, but it is. There are loopholes that allow you to get around it. So Elon Musk can do that and get around it. Okay. Um, so let's see some of the chat comments here. He should be in jail. Yeah, I agree with that. Bernie Bro Hillary. Yeah, come on, spreader ads. Great fast cycle. I'll stand by that. Lincoln was by far the best Republican. Yeah, I got to tell you, Lincoln was a great Republican. Um, Brilliant man too. I mean, yeah, you all should watch the movie Lincoln. It is a really good movie. It's sort of it's it only talks about one part of the situation, but it does show how brilliant he was. And he was a fighter, by the way. None of this passivity, none of this, well, let's just let the other side embarrass ourselves and then we'll swoop in and claim to save the day. No, he actively got engaged and used the tactics that the other side was using. He was not afraid to use political intimidation, blackmail, things like that to get people to end slavery. So he pushed hard. Okay. Yeah. So I mentioned that. Politics in general, the scariest part of my week. Yeah. Okay. So that one. Um, yeah, you've seen the spark leave from your friend's eyes. I feel that. I do. Uh, all right, Elon Musk, sad your sister first. Wow, I don't know that man was a Republican. Crazy how times have changed. You're absolutely right. I know, right? Now, I will say, don't think that means a lot of times we hear Republicans say, we're the party of Lincoln. Not anymore. They changed. It's not the party of Lincoln anymore. I think we can all say that's pretty obvious, right? uh, there was a big switch that occurred. As a matter of fact, during that time period, the Democrats were the racist Southerners. Okay, uh, they were, and then there was a switch that occurred later on. So yeah, okay. So just be aware of that. It switched. So don't buy that nonsense that the Republicans are the party of Lincoln. Laughable. Okay, there was a switch. Just because they have the same name doesn't mean that they're the same that they used to be. And actually, that's something I'm interested to see if it'll happen. I suspect we might see sort of a realignment of the parties here pretty soon. It just there's both of these parties are so unpopular for a number of reasons. We might see a realignment of some sort that occurs. I don't know what it'll be, but yeah, we'll find out. Lincoln's rolling in his grave seeing Trump. Oh, yeah, he definitely is. Okay. Lincoln was an absolute badass, folks. Oh, you know what? Uh, I was wanted to show you all an artifact. Do we have? Did most people still on here? Let's take a look. Let me make sure now we didn't lose everyone before I show you the artifact. Okay. Can you all still hear me? Am I still appearing on your screens and such? Look, something may have happened. Was making sure. Good, good. Thank you. Okay. So, excellent, fantastic. So, something weird was happening. It looked like my screen froze for a second. So, who we got here? Viewers. Okay. You know, we will. I'm gonna wait to show that all to you guys. I want more people to be able to see it. Uh, okay. All right. Let me go back to this. Here. Okay. All right, folks. Great time today. I will try to stream again soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe not. I'm hoping I'll be able to do tomorrow. I will try. At some point, I want to bring my dad on so you guys can also chat with him if you'd like. We will. I will hopefully be posting in more reaction videos soon. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. Also, we have a Discord, and I'm trying to build sort of a community on there. So if you go to Casual Revolt on Discord and add yourself, you can chat in there with fellow members, fellow subscribers, etc. Get a community going. And yeah, like, share, subscribe, share it with someone, spread the good word. And uh, you all have a great rest of your day. Okay. Have a good day. See ya. Bye bye.